Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about dividends and why they aren't all that great. Now, I don't have a problem with dividends. Like, I'm all for dividends because it's just more money in your pocket. But sometimes when it comes down to it, you just look at a dividend and you think to yourself, well, that's not very much of a dividend. But there's a reason for that, obviously, because a company is very profitable. They're not just going to give you a 50% dividend, for owning it. Like if you own 100 shares of Apple, for instance, they're not going to give you like a $50 dividend per share, for owning it because they're so profitable. Otherwise, they would probably go bankrupt. So, dividends aren't going to be like, a great investment strategy, in my opinion, for somebody that has a small portfolio. And I see a lot of people on YouTube actually act like this dividend, scenario or the strategy itself is so incredible. I mean, if you look on YouTube, you can literally type in dividend investing on YouTube and see all kinds of videos pop up. And let's actually just take a look at this and see all these videos that pop up and see what they, got going on. So, oh wow, that's a surprise. This is a surprise. This guy, this guy's very popular. I like this guy's videos and stuff. I watch him all the time. But for him to say why I quit dividend investing is very, very serious. Anyone that sees that is like watching the right thing. But I mean, you got all these dividend videos. I mean, the snowball effect. Like, I get it. It's great, but it's not like what it's made out to be. Because if you have $10,000 in an investment on, let's say, Apple, for instance, that snowball effect is going to take years and years and years to develop, where you could just sit here and sell covered calls, trade the wheel strategy, trade with credit spreads, and collect way more money way faster and increase that snowball effect way more and become a millionaire, become a billionaire. I mean, have millions of dollars sitting in your account versus sitting there waiting for the snowball effect to take place with dividends. So I just want to say that this is just my opinion. You can think that dividends are great. You can continue to invest with dividends. But in my opinion, dividends are not all that great. And I want to just show you that they are not all that great. And we'll go from there. So let's talk about dividends. So I'm going to use Apple as an example here. And we're going to sit here and type this one up. So Apple does pay a dividend, and it's very small, but the company is very profitable. It's been around for years and years and years, and it is one of my favorite companies. But when we scroll down here to the company's specifications down here, we see that Apple has a dividend yield of 67 or 0.67% per share. So annually, whatever the share price is, as long as it's higher, obviously it's usually going to be higher. But at the end of the year, you're going to get a dividend yield based off the shares of 0.67%. And that's kind of confusing. So if we look over here at Apple's dividend yield, I pulled this website out for you guys in advance to kind of show you. And you can see here that Apple pays an annual dividend yield of 0.67% or 0.82 or 82 cents per share. So obviously, if you own 100 shares, you don't have to own 100 shares, but if you own 100 shares, every single year you will collect $82 in dividends. Now, if you think about that realistically and you compare that to obviously owning like 100 shares of Apple, like let's say you own 100 shares of Apple right now, and I'm sure a lot of people do, but if we go over here and trade options with Apple and we just select whatever we want, let's say we're going to start the wheel strategy, so we go ahead and we sell a cash secured put, and we sell one for next week for April 9th expiration, and realistically, I mean, if you sold a cash secure put for any of these prices, I mean, you could pick something above this or below it. Doesn't really matter because you're owning the shares, and the shares will have time to go up. I mean, you can sell an out of the money one if you don't care that much, but most people do prefer to, pick that 70% chance of profit right here. Let's say we do this. Instantly, we're going to get $102 in credit received to our account, and then if the option expires worthless, we will get a total return of $102. So all in all, we'll make $204 on just putting up, 100 shares up for collateral. If we want to do this, we have to put up basically $12,200 in collateral, and as long as Apple closes above $122 on April 9th, then this option is obliterated. It's zero, and you get to keep it. So you just made $204 and possibly didn't even have to buy the shares. Now, when it comes to dividends, sometimes you want to own the shares just to snag that little dividend, and that's about the only time, in my opinion, where dividends are, worth it, because you can come in, sneak in, grab the shares quick, and wait to collect that dividend yield on the shares. But for some people, it's just like, why am I waiting every why am I waiting every 4 periods? So what I mean by that is the quarterly dividend payment is divided between 4 payments throughout the year. So every 3 months that passes by, it just basically depends on when the stock pays the dividend. But every 3 months, Apple will pay a dividend. And 3 months passes by, they'll pay another dividend, and then eventually it'll come to the end of the year, and boom, all 4 payments were paid out, and you will get that whole $82 in share, or I didn't even say that right. You will get $82 for 100 shares of Apple in total dividend payments for, on an annual basis. If that doesn't make sense to you, I hopefully I can clear that up for you. But so I'm going to get into the math here and kind of show you. So 82 cents per share is how much they pay, and the yield is a little bit confusing. So whatever Apple share price is what the yield is based off of. So if Apple has a yield of 0.67%, we'll pull up a calculator and actually show you this. So let's take 0.67 and multiply it by $123 because Apple is sitting at $123 as of close. Which, a penny, whatever, it doesn't matter. But as you can see here, I mean, this is a little off. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but that dividend yield is annual. And as you can see here, that you will receive $82 in dividends for the whole entire year for owning Apple. Now, that is not very much considering the fact that I just showed you that you could run the wheel strategy on Apple throughout the entire year. I mean, you have literally, 4 expiration dates per month. Granted that everything goes smoothly, which is probably not going to always happen, so you're not always going to be able to just trade the wheel strategy constantly over and over and over again and collect that fat premium every time. I mean, sometimes you're not going to collect anything. You're just going to have to wait the volatility out. But you get, all that premium, and it starts to just add up, and it makes the dividends, not worth it. So that's just my opinion of it, and that's what I think of it. But what you think of it is probably completely different. But if you take these payments and you divide them by 4, because Apple's going to pay them 4 times a year, but they're only going to pay you, $82 for the whole year. So every 4 months, they're going to not every 4 months, every 3 months, they're going to make a payment, and that payment is going to be $20.60. So every 3 months, for owning 100 shares of the stock, you're going to get $20. And if you only own 100 shares of the stock and you don't touch it, for years and years and years, that snowball effect with dividends is it's not going to be really noticeable, but it will be with the share price. And Apple is really profitable, so the share price, obviously is going to be more recognizable in the share price. And another thing you need to consider with dividends is Apple's decreasing the amount of cash that they have on hand because they're giving dividends away. They're giving it to everybody that owns the shares. So automatically the company is worth less because they're giving away money. It's not like the stock price is just increasing. Now, that's a little bit like choppy and confusing, but if you think about it realistically, the dividend payment is reducing the amount of cash that they have on hand because they are paying you money, they are giving up money and giving it to you. Therefore, they are decreasing the amount of money that they have on their balance sheet. So, just because you receive a dividend payment doesn't mean that the company is just like that much better. It just means you got a dividend payment. Now, if you're going to expect to invest with dividends and think that dividends are just going to blow up your portfolio with a small amount of money, such as less than $10,000 or like $10,000 or even $100,000, I mean, we're talking probably more than $1 million to even live off of these things. And that's a lot of money. So dividends just aren't going to cut it for us. That's why I prefer the whole cover call strategy because, or not the cover call strategy, but the wheel strategy to invest my money into and then just trade the wheel strategy with stocks that I don't mind owning. That way I can keep collecting premium on these stocks and I'm getting way more in dividends. And sometimes you might just happen to run into a situation where you're owning the stock and dividend payment comes out and boom, you get that dividend payment. Some people like to just exercise call options to get a dividend payment if they're in the money, and some people just happen to own the stock at the right place at the right time and they receive a dividend payment. But ultimately, dividends are not just like some fat, awesome, like perfect thing that a lot of people seem to think of it as, but they are great and I don't have a problem with them, but I'm just saying that you are way better off just selling this right here, this premium, selling these puts, selling these calls when you get assigned, or trading credit spreads. I mean, just everything in general that doesn't involve dividends but does involve selling premium. I think you're going to come out way richer and you're going to be a millionaire just like that. I mean, that's my goal, and I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys and guide you through my investment strategies and show you how my portfolio is performing, and you're going to see this little number, and I hope to God you're going to see it. Without a doubt, I think you're going to see this turn into $1 million in the next 5 years, maybe less. But I'm not going to sit here and do this with dividends. So I'm going to keep trading these cash secure puts, these cover calls, these credit spreads, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm not going to do it with dividends. So if you think that I'm using dividends to do that, you got another thing coming. But that's all I wanted to say about dividends. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one. See you later.